Ciao jewelry making friends, my name is Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my work table today and welcome to my channel. Whether you're new or returning, I'm so glad that you're here. Today I have this deliciousness on my mat and it's going to be a set of beach style bracelets, very chic beach summer style. So I have pulled out some natural elements, some red coral, some pink coral, some shell heishi beads, these beautiful natural pearls. They're actually a freshwater pearl in a lavender color, so I've been kind of sorting through them because I don't really want the lavender ones. Here's what they look like. And I have a little bit of mermaid glass here in a turquoise color. And what I am loving so much is my Purity Beads items. That I'm still playing with my items that I got at the bead show. And for those of you that did not see that video, I can link it below. I share the booth of the owners of Purity Beads, and they make a lot of things, but they have very high quality metals, brass base with this beautiful finish and an anti-tarnish coating that is done in-house, and a lot of the items are exclusive to Purity Beads, so you won't see them anywhere else. So at the show I purchased these beautiful little curved bars. It's a bar slash bead, and I have these gorgeous little cylinder beads. They are so beautiful. They have such a nice weight. And then I got these bicone cage beads at the show. And so I have also, I can link another video if you want to see more of their products, but this is one of their toggles. I did a bracelet video using the spacers and the head pins, everything with an anti-tarnish coating, even these tiny little gold spacer beads. In that video, I made 3 bracelets and 2 pairs of earrings. So here's another one of the bracelets. These are Purity Beads items. They have the most unique shape. This was the earrings from that video. These, their head pins are gorgeous. The little bumpy spacers. I used everything from that I got at the show, and then this is one of my favorite chains that I got from them. It is so amazing, and so I can link this video below if you didn't see it. But today I'm making a different style of bracelet. I've decided to work with memory wire. So this bracelet is already done, and I have just used a piece of memory wire that I cut so that it's overlapping, and I threaded on one of the bars and then a little section of these coral sticks, and I just created the pattern that I liked to get to my desired length. But instead of turning a loop the way we typically do on a memory wire bracelet, I am using these memory wire end beads that you glue on, and I won't lie, they're a little bit challenging to glue on, and I'll show you what they look like, and I can link these below as well if you want to give this a try. There are 3 different sizes, and they come in gold or silver. So I got a little pack like this with, they're all separated. There's the large, medium, and small in gold and silver. And I was playing with the small and the medium size, and I just really like the medium size for the end of my bracelets. But I think that these really are for a fatter memory wire, fatter circumference of memory wire. But I wanted them there, so I made it work. So if you're going to try this project, I have 2 glues here on the side of my work table, the Loctite Gel Control Super Glue and the E6000 glue. And what I have done is, like, I put my little, let me show you, I put my little stopper, glued it onto one end and just set it aside, and I went away for an hour and came back, and it's really nice and secure now and ready to thread. So this is the finished bracelet. I did one to show you. This is the finished bracelet with the ends on both sides, and I just did like a little bit of an overlap, and they are not heavy, so they don't need a clasp. They stay on really well, and no matter which way it spins, I have this beautiful gold bar that's textured and anti-tarnish and some natural elements. And so my plan is to make a set of 4 that I can mix and match, wear them all together, choose one. And so I have this one strung, and it looks a little interesting, which is what I wanted. I included 1 bar and then some of the he-she beads, some of those beautiful bicone cage beads, natural pearls, a little bit of the mermaid glass, my 2 colors of coral, and then this particular bracelet has all of the elements that will be individually in the other 3. So I just kind of created a almost color blocking or bead blocking with this one. So no matter how it spins around, I can see all the elements in my set. So that's kind of the design method. So I will show you what I did, and as I said, this is a little bit challenging, at least it was for me, because I'm a bit of a mess when it comes to gluing and painting. So I got my desired length with my pattern, and you don't need very much space at the end. And what I recommend is the gel the gel Loctite for the part that you need it to dry more quickly. I used the E6000 when I put the stopper bead on the plain wire before it was strung. I'm sorry, I lost my thought. And then I'm just going to take one of these little end beads. There's the hole. So I just had to sort of get a hold of everything and get my I just had to sort of get a hold of everything and get my stopper bead on the end and just hold it for a minute or so and just let it sit up, because the gel super glue, the Loctite, it just doesn't dry immediately like a lot of super glues do. So I just really had to be patient, which is sometimes hard when you're making jewelry and you love the way it's looking. So this is what I did. I just let it get set up a bit. And I even have, I would also advise like having a little scrap of wire or a toothpick, just so that if you have any overflow, you can kind of clean it up. And I just let it sit. And so what I'm going to do is set this one aside and let this dry just the way that I did my first one, and I'll show you the idea for the other 2 bracelets. So let me just see if it's set up a little bit. It is, and I'm just going to lay it down and let it dry. Okay, so I have already glued my bead on another one, and I'm going to use my E6000 and go ahead and set this one up. And I will tell you, I had the idea of maybe doing 1 bracelet in my set with the loops on the end to add a charm, but I think I'm going to leave these largely without charms and maybe put a charm strung right onto my circumference. So for the end that I'm starting out with, I use the thicker glue, the E6000, and I've done both of my bracelets with the alternating glue, and they both work equally as well, and they're both equally as secure. So if you only have one of these types of glue, they actually do both work. So I'm just getting like a nice bead of glue on the end. Just a nice little bead. I need to clean my tube. And I'm just going to pick up, and like I said, if you look at the hole on this stopper bead, it looks to me like it is meant for a larger circumference of memory wire than what I'm using on my bracelet. And the smaller end beads have a smaller hole there, but I liked this size for my bracelets. So I'm making it happen. So again, you can see that my E6000 is overflowing, so I just use a little scrap piece of wire and clean it off. If you've never used E6000 glue before, it's super, super strong. And if there's any kind of overflow, when it's dry, it's a bit rubbery and you can usually just pull it off. So I'm not going to stress too much about my extra glue. I'm just going to get that little stop bead in the position that I want and let it dry. I wanted to show you this part because it is a little bit challenging, especially since I'm using the bead with the larger hole on this size memory wire. But it's already setting up, and with a little bit of patience you can do these, and they look like so much more than memory wire. They really look like, I think it really looks like fine jewelry. This beautiful gold that I get from Purity Beads, and you know, the natural elements, I just think it's very summer beach chic. I'm super excited about this set of bracelets. And also, while I'm just holding on to this, I'll tell you that I have recently become an affiliate with Purity Beads. So in the description box of this video, I will leave my link and my code. And if you're a first-time buyer, you can get a discount from your first order. And I just highly recommend them. I've actually received some private emails from people that have ordered based off my last video, and they were extremely happy. I was so glad to get their input because it is a new company for my channel. Although I found this company at a bead show last year, and I have loved everything that I've purchased from them. So if you're new to Purity Beads and you haven't seen my other videos, check out the description box. There's a link to the website, and you know, maybe you'll find something for your own work. So it's really just the moment that I was chatting with you, this is already kind of set up. It's not set up enough to put any pressure on it, but it's set up enough for me to set it aside to dry. And I will go to the one that I did earlier so we can work on that. So on this one, I'm going to repeat a similar design with the red coral. So I think I did 4 bars. I did 1, 2, 3, 4 bars with the sections of the coral in between. And I think I want to change this one up just a little bit and maybe try 3 bars. So let me start by stringing some of my red coral, and I'm trying to just let it be random. Also, I think on this one, I think I might want, I set out these hex seed beads, but I think they are a little bit big. Let me see if these little, these are galvanized 15-0 Miyuki seed beads, and I think that might be really pretty in between my coral. I am also a huge fan of the O beads. And I just picked up some of these just today, and I have a video coming on my little shopping trip, but I absolutely love these O beads as spacers. They are amazing. So I've used them in this bracelet, and when that's dry, I'll give you a closer look to that. But let me actually see if these little 15 O's will fit on this memory wire. Oh, they do. Let's see what that looks like in between some of the coral. This for me is the happiest, most relaxing, most joyful part of making jewelry, is this pattern play and playing with the beads, this part of the design where I'm stringing and color blocking is just so joyful. So I tend to pause my camera because I like to really take my time and truly enjoy this process. But I'm going to share a little bit of the way that I do it, and just see, you know, where this is going. And then I'll pause and come back when my little glue-on bead or bracelet ends are dry, and we can finish the stringing together. I have a bead stuck to me. I'm actually really loving the little gold 15-0 in between. Let me show you what it looks like. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So I think I'm going to do that and do a little bit larger section on this bracelet than I did on my pink coral. Oh, that is so pretty. I absolutely love the things that Purity Beads has. They are amazing. Really, really amazing. Let me string, I think I'll string 5 more pieces of coral on this end and space them out with these little 15-0 seed beads. And so the only thing I'll say about this design, you could approach this differently than I did. I cut my rings ahead of time and they were all matched up so that the overlap here is the same on every bracelet, because as I said, it's going to be a set that I want to wear interchangeably, either together or choose 2 or 3 to wear at a time. But you could go ahead and string your pattern and then, you know, snip when you get your pattern right, snip that little bit off the end. So, and for those of you who are new to working with memory wire, it does come in different sizes, and the one that I have is fairly thin. I think it's a small. It's actually from leftover from the curated bead box, and they're unlabeled, so I can't tell you exactly, but you do want to use memory wire cutters or really old junky cutters for cutting your rings on memory wire if you are new to using it, because you will ruin your good cutters on, it's a stainless steel wire, and you will ruin your cutters on this. So I'm going to play a little bit with my pattern, and I will pause here and come back when I have worked out what I'm doing on this particular bracelet, and show you what I'm planning for my last bracelet, the one that we've set up over here. That one is going to be, I think, mermaid glass and all natural elements, the shell, and I really love my little O beads here. They are not as bright of a gold as my Purity Beads items, but I actually like that. I think it adds a lot of personality and dimension to a piece when with some of the, I like to vary my metal colors, so I'm okay with that. But I'm going to just keep stringing because, you know, this is, I like to do this slowly, and I'll come back and kind of show you what I've worked out for the pattern on the red coral bracelet. So just be a second. I have played with my pattern and I have settled on this. It's a little bit random, kind of alternating. It's like a dash dot pattern with the little dot of gold in between the coral and a couple of my little cylinder beads. And so I just wanted to show you there, you know, this is a little bit tricky, and just like when it's plain and you haven't any beads on the memory wire yet, this part is equally a little bit tricky for the gluing. So I have a hold of this with my plier and I have everything pushed the way that, you know, I wanted to stay. And, you know, gravity is kind of working against you for gluing the ends on. So as I said, you could totally like turn a loop like we normally do, but I think this looks more like fine jewelry. It just looks beautiful. And I have to say, I've been sitting here looking at my coral bracelet that I did without the little galvanized 15-0 seed beads in between, and I'm thinking I might redo this one because I love the way this looks with that little tiny dot of gold. And I tend to do that. I did it on this bracelet. I tend to do that a lot. I really like it. So anyway, be careful not to glue your fingers. And I found that the super glue does dry a lot faster than the E6000. So that's what I have been using for my final little cap, my final little glue-on bead, because I don't have to hang on to it as long. But this is what I did. I just used my pliers to get that bead cap on there, and I just held it for a minute. If you let go, the beads are going to kind of go toward the end bead that you're gluing on. So you just have to give the glue a few seconds to grab. I don't know if you can see, because they're already, I'm trying to hold everything in my fingers and it's already pushing toward that bead. So you just have to be patient and, you know, let it set for a moment, and then you can set it down and move on to your next project or your next bracelet. Okay, now while that one is drying, I need to put the lid back on my glue, and we can move on to the last bracelet. So my last bracelet, I think, is going to be a combination of this mermaid glass and my shell he-she beads, and I'm not sure yet. And I actually save this beautiful, it's either silk or silk-like thread. I save this because I do silk ribbon and embroidery brooches and things, so I don't throw that away. And I'm just going to do the same thing that I've done on my other bracelets, kind of create some kind of a little pattern. I think I will start with one of my mermaid glass beads and maybe an O bead, maybe do a little section of mermaid glass, and then switch to my he-she beads. I'm gonna play with a pattern of blocking like the turquoise and the shell color. So I will not sit here and do this on camera either, because as I said, the pattern play is really enjoyable and relaxing, and I do tend to string things on, string them off, move a section. So there's a little bit of on and off with my stringing. So I will pause the camera here and come up with a pattern, and I'll come back and show it to you. And also, I think on this bracelet I'm going to add a jump ring and a charm. So I'm going to pause and go shopping in my supplies for that item, and I will be right
into
back.
my stash, and I actually found a Purity Beads textured heart. I got a whole bunch of these little charms at the bead show last year. It's number 450. I'm not sure if they're still available on the website, because I have had these for about a year, but they are two-sided, textured on both sides with that lovely anti-tarnish coating. And then I have their beautiful 2.5-inch gold finished ball head pins, and I just love them because they're anti-tarnish. And I was kind of playing with making my own charm for this bracelet, but I really wanted this heart here, so I'm going to use a little scrap, because these are 2.5-inch long head pins, and when I have made a shorter dangle or charm, I have been saving all of my extra because it's such a high quality metal. Purity Beads, for almost everything, uses a brass base, and so it's not the cheap base metal that so often, we find in fashion jewelry. And so I just love the quality, so I've been even saving my little scraps. And I'm just going to create a charm here using my 2.25-inch one-step looper. And I just know, because I have worked with these, that this little bit of space here where the hole is requires a little bit larger loop. So and I did recently have somebody ask me about the sizes of the one-step looper, and she really only had a budget for one of them because there's 3 sizes. And if you're in that same position, you can do almost everything you need to do with the 2.25. The 1.5 millimeter one-step looper makes a much smaller loop, so I use that one if I'm doing a lot of clusters or like a cha-cha style, and then I get this loop to be smaller than that. And then there's also a 3 millimeter, which makes a much larger loop, and I do love that one when I'm making beaded chain, because those larger loops as a connector on a chain give a lot of freedom of movement and it doesn't get kinked. But this one is like right in the middle, the 2.25, and it's a great size if you are in the position to try that tool. That's my advice. I started out with one of the sizes, and I didn't buy them all at once either. So anyway, if some of you are having the same question as one of our viewers, then that's what I would say. So what I'm going to do is thread my little heart charm on that eye pin that I just made and get it closed really well. And then I'm going to stack some beads. I actually went to look for like a ready-made charm, but I really kind of wanted to do my own thing and use the elements that are already in my bracelet set. So I'm going to take these off here And let's see if I can stack them the way that I organize them. And I got out a gold-filled jump ring, and let's see if that's going to be too big. I think I have to take one of my hishis off. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And let's see if I can use the same one-step looper. So what's cool about this is on a really short piece of wire, and like I said, since I'm recycling sort of my scraps, there is a hole in the back of the tool, but if you don't have a piece of wire that's long enough, you can still use this. As long as that wire is long enough to go past this back jaw of the tool, it will work, because you only need enough space for the tool as I close it to make that clean cut and wrap the wire around the little mandrel that's inside. So, and I also, this is a tiny little glass O bead, so if you can see, I have left at least 1 millimeter of space so that when I make that loop and the tool closes, I'm not breaking or putting stress on any of my beads. So I'll try to close it really slowly. See, it makes a nice, clean, blunt cut, and as I continue to close, it's making the loop. And at this point, before I close the tool all the way, make sure my beads are out of the way, and I also like to pull my wire down, and that way I can see that my loop is centered on the wire. And when I take it away, my loop is done, my little charm is created, and I do need to close this one a little bit. I don't know why that happens sometimes with that particular size, but sometimes it's just the way that you put the wire in the tool, and I usually fuss with things a little bit, so I just want to straighten out my 2 loops. And now, before I do my final gluing, I am going to add this on. I just decided to do it this way, and I think I'm going to put it right here. I just decided to do it this way because what I've discovered from gluing is that I'm going to push everything away from where I'm gluing my end bead on, and so that way this little jump ring will have the space that it needs to rest in here. And I'm going to try on this one to switch to my E6000 glue when I put my little bead on the end. And I just found I really like the super glue. I'm actually using both of those glues in tandem. So if any of you that are watching are interested and you would like to try this project, I hope you benefit from my experimentation with the 2 different glues. This one, the E6000, is much thicker, and either way, you still have to be patient and hold your bead in place for a minute until the glue begins to grab that end bead. And as I said, I'll show you the difference. I probably would have had a little bit easier time using the smaller size of the glue end bead, but I really liked the medium size for my designs. So, I've struggled a little bit more than I probably would have, but I'm just going to do this last one the same way that I have been doing everything, and just make sure my little jump ring is in there. And let me get my glue open and ready. And then I'm going to show you what I did to my first sample bracelet while I was shopping for my little charm that I wanted to make for the end. Okay, so I'm just going to let that sit up and get the lid back on my E6000. And while I was shopping through my supplies to find the elements to make this little charm for this bracelet, I decided to redo my first bracelet because I really loved the look of that little galvanized gold 15-0 seed bead in between. And so I thought at first that I would have to cut one end, but I took my pliers and actually pulled the bead off the end, and it was really secure. It had been drying for about an hour when I did that, and it was really secure, but I was able to pull it off and just restring this bracelet, adding those tiny little beads in between my coral sticks. And I just love it so much better, and I think that it really coordinates better as well. It's, you know, has the same element as my other one. So these have been drying for some time and they look great. And I have used these before, these little glue-in end caps, for a necklace project, and they are very sturdy, but like I would not wear these until I let them dry overnight. Like they appear to be set up really well after an hour, and they're set up enough that you can string beads and that kind of thing, but I will let them dry overnight before I actually wear them. And you know, hopefully you'll benefit if you're doing this from my own glue experimentation. The gel control super glue is just so thin, so it's a little bit hard to get this metal bead to kind of stay in place with such a thin glue. And the E6000 is thicker, but it takes longer to dry. So what I actually did while I was paused is I went back to these that I had used, the E6000, and just put a tiny little dot of the gel at the base of each of my beads. So I feel like they are super secure, and as I said, hopefully my experimentation and what I've kind of figured out from making 4 of these bracelets will help you, save you a little bit of energy. I'm just going to clean off the excess E6000 before I let my bead go. And as I said, the E6000 is a little bit rubbery as it dries, so you can kind of pull away any excess that came off. So I'm going to set this one to dry, and as I said, I'll go back and probably add a little tiny dot of my gel super glue around the bottom. And this little bracelet project is done, and I tell you, it was so much fun, and I just love this summer set of bracelets. I just think they are absolutely gorgeous, easy on and off. They are lightweight, so when the weather is really hot, you know, they're comfortable to wear. And also, you know, for 2024, cuff bracelets are really in style. So I am thinking, as far as trend, that wider bracelets looks good. So I'm thinking to stack all 4 of mine on my wrist. I may even mix them with some of my pearl bracelets that I made in my last video. So this was a super fun project, and what I think I'm going to do is, while that dries, is maybe design a pair of earrings with some of my leftover beads and these beautiful head pins. I really love them. So while that dries, I'm going to pause, play with my earring design, and I'll put some pictures up of the finished items at the end of my video. After everything dries, I'll take the pictures and do that in editing. And I just want to thank you so much for watching and choosing my video today. I hope you found some inspiration or a little bit of a new product, you know, or got a design idea. That's what I always hope when I make a video. And if you tap more and look in the description box, there will be my discount code and a link to Purity Beads if you're interested in any of these beautiful metals. I think you'll love the website. It's just a lovely, lovely business, and not what is everywhere. You know, I just don't see these kinds of things when I go to craft stores. I'm not seeing them. So it really kind of elevates our work to have supplies like this. And I'll also leave links to the other things if I can find them. I've had my little set of glue-in end beads for memory wire for a while, but I'll look for that and link that below. And I believe I even got my coral from Amazon. I will link anything that I can find for those of you that are interested. I know I have viewers in many countries besides America, and not everybody has the same chain stores that we have here. So I do as much as I can with international shipping and online orders so that everyone watching can make what they would like to make if they are inspired by a design. So thanks again for choosing my video, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, creative friends.